NASA says its Voyager 1 probe is sending usable information to Earth. Again, a machine from the 1970s, drifting alone, through deep space 15 billion miles from home. For 46 years, Voyager 1 obeyed its design. It sent data. It never turned. It never listened. Then, without warning, the antenna shifted and something answered. Not from Earth, not from any known star, but from a patch of sky that should have been empty. What happened next wasn't just strange. It was impossible. Music, launch, built to leave. Mission, we have a liftoff. Roll program is in on time. Voyager 1 launched quietly on September 5th, 1977. A slim body, 800 watts of plutonium-powered electricity, and a memory smaller than a single JPEG. There were no advanced systems, just a transmitter built to send data back home, not to listen, not to react, and definitely not to turn. Its only job was to leave, and it did. It raced past Jupiter, then Saturn, then kept going. It flew beyond Pluto, crossed the helipause in 2012. That invisible edge where the sun's magnetic field fades into interstellar space. And now it floats 15 billion miles away. Still powered, still transmitting. The farthest object humans have ever touched. For over 40 years, it drifted in silence, until that silence broke, with no sensors, no receivers, and no commands. From Earth, Voyager 1 responded to something that wasn't supposed to happen. The shift. When Voyager 1 crossed the helipause in 2012, it entered a region no spacecraft had ever breached, the borderless, unnamed stretch of space beyond the edge of the sun's influence. It's a place so distant that even the closest stars appear frozen in place, offering no pull, no light, and no sound. This is interstellar space, the large empty expanse between solar systems. Here, the sun is just another pinprick of light. Its magnetic field stretched too thin to reach. There are no planets to orbit, no gravitational fields to guide it, and no solar wind left to push against its body. By all expectations, nothing should happen here. And yet, that's when something did. Without any command from Earth, and with no external trigger detected, Voyager 1 adjusted its orientation. It turned, gently but deliberately, towards a patch of sky that appeared completely empty. There were no galaxies, no stars, no known celestial mass, just blackness. And for a spacecraft that was never built to respond to its surroundings, this turn wasn't just unexpected. It was illogical. The glitch that wasn't a glitch. On November 6, 2023, Voyager 1 sent back a transmission that looked off. Not broken, just wrong. The data came through distorted, like a static fill stream that didn't follow any known pattern. At first glance, NASA's engineers chalked it up to the usual issues: cosmic radiation, degraded wiring, or maybe just a memory glitch. It made sense. This was a 46-year-old spacecraft running far past what anyone ever expected. But then something unusual happened. Voyager's fault protection systems designed to take over during emergencies suddenly kicked in. These protocols don't activate lightly. They are built for serious problems like when the spacecraft begins to spin uncontrollably or loses contact with Earth. But this time they engaged with no clear trigger. Telemetry logs became unreadable. Orientation records vanished. Even some of the onboard clocks began to drift out of sync. The signal didn't just get weaker. It morphed into something different. There was no command from mission control. And yet, Voyager started acting like it had been hit by something invisible, like it was reacting to an event it couldn't process. This wasn't random, static, or data loss from deep space exposure. It was something else. Something that reached deeper into the structure of the spacecraft itself. And whatever it was, Voyager couldn't explain it. Not long after the emergency systems kicked in, Voyager 1 did something it should never be able to do on its own. It turned the spacecraft's high gain antenna that's supposed to stay locked on Earth's shifted position, but it didn't realign with mission control. Instead, it aimed somewhere else entirely toward a patch of sky with nothing visible. What made the movement even stranger was how it happened. The shift didn't involve the spacecraft's thrusters. There was no propulsion recorded or firing of jets. It was as if the orientation simply changed on its own. NASA ran through every scenario. No command had been sent from Earth. No software had been updated. Nothing in the control system had changed. From every angle, Voyager should have stayed still, but it hadn't. This was a clear, deliberate reorientation, which didn't make sense because Voyager 1 was built to follow instructions, not act on its own. After Voyager 1 turned toward the empty patch of sky, its onboard sensors picked up something even stranger, a torque event. That means the spacecraft didn't just shift direction. It rotated physically. The gyroscopes recorded it clearly. This wasn't a software glitch or random drift. It was a real measurable change in orientation, small but definite, and yet nothing on the spacecraft should have caused it. The thrusters didn't fire. The log showed no activity. Solar pressure was ruled out. Voyager was far too distant from the sun for light to exert any real force. There was no sign of debris, no evidence of an impact. A machine drifted through the most silent, empty region of space known to humanity, and somehow it moved. The no void. Once the torque event was confirmed, NASA did exactly what it's trained to do. Engineers ran full diagnostics and checked power levels. They cross-referenced flight logs, looked for signs of system failure or unexpected inputs, and they found nothing. There were no electromagnetic pulses, no power surges, no radiation spikes, nothing from any nearby satellite to suggest external interference. Voyager's instruments were stable. Its systems were operating within expected parameters. On paper, everything was normal. Just to be sure, the team ran simulations. They tested whether aging hardware or degraded components could have triggered some phantom command. But the data didn't line up. The numbers didn't match. This wasn't a go signal or a random twitch from dying circuits. The reorientation was real. The torque event was real. And neither one had a cause that anyone could find. Once engineers had ruled out every known explanation, they were left with a question that no one really wanted to answer. If Voyager systems hadn't caused the shift, if there was no technical failure, no solar radiation, no micrometeoroid strike, then what exactly made it move? The only answer left was that something external had interacted with the spacecraft and not in the way space usually interact with machines. This wasn't a collision. It felt like a nudge, a subtle intentional adjustment, not enough to break anything, but just enough to steer. Almost like something out there understood Voyager's design and wanted to shift its course without disrupting its systems. The longer they stared at the data, the more it seemed like that patch of blackness wasn't random. It wasn't nothing. It was a direction. It had come to rest with its antenna locked onto a very specific part of space. It was aligned with a point researchers had only ever written about, a theoretical region some called a null zone. It's a kind of pocket in space where gravitational forces from different directions perfectly cancel each other out. It's not something you stumble across, and certainly not something an old spacecraft should be able to find, let alone point itself toward. Voyager wasn't designed to detect null points. It had no software for that, no hardware to measure them. The probe didn't just face the zone. It held a position. Its antenna stayed locked like it was receiving something. There was no entry in Voyager's command history to explain it. No programming that told it to do this. So the team stopped calling it a fluke and started calling it something else. Targeted